Hello, everyone. It is TubeSpanner Tuesdays. Every 10 a.m. PT, we go live here on the TubeSpanner YouTube channel to talk about a new topic. Today, we are talking about how to get more views on YouTube, specifically while using TubeSpanner. Now, if you've never been here before, I am so excited to get started because TubeSpanner is a tool that is built to help you grow on YouTube. It does a lot of things. There are a lot of features. And if you've never tried it, we have a link in the description to a free trial, more information. But I am just going to say the first thing I want to just talk about is we are here to help streamers. We're here to help creators get more views, even if you're just starting. I think one of the things that people miss when it comes into just creating content is that every winner is once a beginner. That's a core belief of mine. I am Andrew Canna. I've been in this space for over a decade. I've helped channels reach hundreds of thousands to millions of subscribers, and it is always a pleasure to talk about YouTube growth. Now, my quick kind of housekeeping here is, if you're just joining or you're watching the replay, is that this is that you are to follow along. Everything I'm talking about today is going to be relevant. We focus on evergreen teachings that are going to matter. The only thing that might change is TubeSpanner might just get a lot better from now until then. So there we go. Now, I have a quick question. If you are joining us, whether you're live or in that replay, how many subscribers are you at? And what is your current goal on YouTube? I asked those two questions for two very specific things. Now, I am a firm believer that subscriber count doesn't matter that much, but it matters in the context of unlocking YouTube features, and it gives us a little bit of an understanding of where we are. Now, I do see that Stanley Orchard says we are jumping right in. The best way to get started is to jump right in. Now, if you haven't installed TubeSpanner, you can check it out, and we are going to just go ahead and do that ourselves. So we're going to go to share my screen and get right into this. So as I am sharing my screen, I do also want to call out that it is important to note that TubeSpanner has a lot of different features, and for what I want to show off today is some of the ideation features, some of the stuff you may not know it has. So when it comes to getting views, one thing that people don't know is that there are some common struggles. You might have a low click-through rate, you might have poor retention, or you just have a lack of clarity when it comes to finding topics that your audience cares about, right? And all of those things are very hard, and they're new things. I think that if you're just starting, or even if you've been creating for a while, like I see Geology Dude is here live, you know, they're 1,700. They're trying to get some more traction. I mean, that is a very real place to be. So what I want to do is really talk about, you know, some of those ideas you can have and how you can find more of them. So I'm going to go ahead, share my screen here, make sure everything is set up. I'm going to ask chat if you can see it. Should be able to. So you should be able to see my screen now, and then you're going to, once you install it, you should be able to see TubeSpanner. Now here's something to note about TubeSpanner. A lot of what I'm showing you today, they may have some paid functionality, but there is a forever free version. They're very confident in their tool. Now it is limited, but I do think it's important that we have that moment to just give some clarity. Make sure that if you are just joining us, you hear it, right? Because for me, one of the things I really try to do when it comes to really any tool that I'm looking at is give that kind of upfront information, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. Now, as we go back, you'll see TubeSpanner once you download the browser extension. A lot of people know it for it being on, of course, the traditional website, but the browser extension is incredibly helpful. So actually, Stanley and some of the people I'm seeing in chat, if you could, I don't know if you are mods or whatnot, but if you can go ahead and drop a link to how they can get to the TubeSpanner browser extension, that'd be very helpful. I do see we have 10 of us here, so we're talking about ideas, right? So one of the things I said is that you can struggle to grow, you can struggle with low CTR, you can struggle with poor retention, lack of clarity. And so when you are here on TubeSpanner, we're going to click this. This is going to open this. We're going to go to the ideation station. So what is ideation station? Well, it's actually what I just casually call it, but it's really just here to help you figure out ideas, get more insights and things like that. So I'm going to zoom in. If you can't see it at this point, it's an issue on my end, and I'll make sure. So hopefully that's nice and clear for everyone. But really the whole point when I'm looking at the ideation station, and I see we have a link from TubeSpanner on where to get the browser extension. Thank you for helping out there. So, one thing you want to do is first, you need to target the right audience. So, how do you find the right audience? What is the right audience for you? Everyone is going to have a different answer here, right? And I think that's okay. It is completely fine to have a different answer when it comes to what audience is right for you, what fits for your needs. So, here's what you need to know. When it comes to finding the right audience, there's a couple of questions you need to ask yourself. How long can I create content about this indefinitely, right? A lot of times people will pick something they kind of like talking about, but what ends up happening is they like talking about it for the moment, but years down the line, when it comes to their YouTube channel, they kind of realize I didn't have that much to say about the topic I picked. Now, when it comes to this ideation, right, I see that geology dude, right? Like the study of geology is vast and there's so many different like areas you could take it. There are some friends of mine, like just thinking of home rapid repair. There's so many ways you could, fix your house, right? So there are lots of ways that you can have depth within a specific target. So even in it, there are ways you can cross collaborate. So when it comes to ideas and like picking long term, audience targeting, which is what we're showing right now, is super important. And if we click here, what it is going to do is show us our avatar profiles, right? So there is our most recent audience. The one that watches most videos currently is a custom one that I set up, and this is something that's really cool. You can set it up to your ideal audience, which is something we just talked about. And I like this because the more that we go in depth on these things, the better. Now, your most recent audience, we're actually going to make some changes here from what I've been told by the TubeSpanner team, which is that they're going to change this to match YouTube's new, regular, casual, and new viewers. And I think that's going to be really exciting. But for now, most recent are the ones that are most recently watching. Your most views are based on your most views, most engaged based on your most engaged. So if we are going to ideation, right, we can have a lack of clarity, which if we're having lack of clarity, it's good to know with looking at what our audience we have, what we can do. Now, if we're looking on poor retention, we're going to hit most engaged. I want to see what we can do to pick that most engaged audience. So if their aspiration is to grow their YouTube channel, this is based on my Andrew Can YouTube channel. Their aspirations, it'll give you a little overview. This does take some time to render, but it should be able to help you. Goals and value, this is pretty spot on. Interest, YouTube, content creation, channel, yep, perfect. May encounter some challenges with other stuff, some issues with the description. This seems right to me. So we are going to go ahead, and because I like this audience, I'm going to hit my most engaged audience with some video ideas, right? And this is pulling from what TubeSpanner has learned about my channel, because when you link your channel with TubeSpanner, what it's going to do, and you give it permission to do this, and if you don't want to, you cannot, of course, but I recommend doing it because what it's going to do is look at your YouTube analytics and make it just a little bit more digestible. Because the truth of the matter is, I understand YouTube analytics very well, but I understand even if you've been on platform or you're just starting, it's daunting. I want to know, how often are you looking at your YouTube analytics? How often do you find it overwhelming? Because I was just recently at events like Vid Summit. I went to TwitchCon for the first time, which was interesting. And it's still to this day, people are terrified of the analytics. And I think that it's because, YouTube identified this with their Ask Studio AI they're putting out, but it can be daunting. And what I like about tools like TubeSpanner is they make that daunting task a little bit easier, right? And so, as we go back here, it got video ideas from my most engaged, right? 10 tips to skyrocket your YouTube channel growth. Well, if I wanted to do a list-based video, 10 tips, perfect for that. So what does this plus do? More ideas, right? Strategies for exponential growth on YouTube. That's the little brief. Unlock the secrets to fast tracking your channel's growth with these 10 proven strategies. I actually really like this one. I think we could maybe do some more titles from this idea. So this is where the title suggestion tool is going to be, coming up. I do see we have a question coming here from Susan as this is going. TubeSpanner, are you able to keep the most engaged? I think it could be most helpful for smaller channels. So I think that, when we were talking about the YouTube naming of new, returning, it does the same thing. Those are exactly what YouTube's new tools are titled. They're just not so one-to-one as clear as this. But we could also just maybe put some parenthesis. It's going to be the same system and way it is. I only flag that because we're gonna match YouTube's own. And if this does anything, homekeeping channel, aka Susan, is that it shows that YouTube's naming can still be confusing, reiterating the point I was making before. And the point I'm making is YouTube can be challenging. So their new, returning, and casual viewership is really similar to what TubeSpanner calls their own viewing metrics, right? But if you don't know that basic or layman's English, and it's funny because Homekeeping Channel is a channel member of mine, just in full transparency, we've had conversations about how things in UK English and US English are different. Likewise, that's what it can be like sometimes on YouTube. But I really like this title. We could go ahead and, I could generate a script. So if you're feeling stuck, this is where we could really take this, right? So the title is 10 tips to skyrocket your YouTube channel growth. Example of video comparing apples to oranges on why this is our example. But what I could say is I want 10 free tips around CTR. This is where I know this topic and I could go really deep on how we take a look at it, right? So I think another thing I could do when it comes to this topic, I think CTR is important. We talked about the importance of analytics. We could say script writing and more topics like it. So then once we do that, we can generate our script. I got a TubeSpanner alert. Ooh. That is me clicking around a little bit too fast. I'm getting a little excited. Apologize for that. Hey, it's good when I'm like, I want to get it done. But that is actually on my bad. But it should now in the background be working on the script tool. So just a heads up, I might be a little quick. But let's say I really want to go deeper in a different way, right? I can click on the home run tool here. And then what that's going to do is it's going to show me different titles, right? So Discovery Optimizer is important because my script has been generated successfully and has been added to my script library. So now what I could do, and I'm going to, is open that script library. But my question is to you, if you're watching, what do you think about script writing? Are you someone who writes a script? Are you more bullet points? Because this can help me better help you, right? And I know how I tend to do things. I write a script, but I've also been practicing and experimenting with just going off the top of the head a little bit. Because at the same time, I know scripts and it's my wording. I have a teleprompter that I utilize to really help me. I just also know that it is another side of the coin to really focus on that. So I ask because I'm curious what you do when it comes to those video stuff. So I see from Susan, I need a script. I see a couple of other things here just coming in, getting more from the chat. I see from Geology Dude, I groom videos to foreign viewers. Most shorts are not narrated, but video description is translated to 100 languages. That's amazing. So yeah, I mean, when we are doing this, we are having the opportunity to have this conversation, to go deeper. And, we could use the script tool if we need it, or you could be like me where it comes off the top of the head pretty easily. I'm always curious to how others are doing it. But as the script is loading, so this is the 10, we were working on this one. 10 tips to skyrocket my YouTube channel growth. If I click on edit, I can go here. And now we went from an idea to a script, and you can write it here. So, there is a opening hook here. Maybe I can choose one or the other. I think I would maybe go for this one where it says, "Hi, I'm Andrew Can. Welcome back to the channel." I would probably get rid of that and go right into the value. I'd say, I would probably say, remove this personally. And again, the more you use it, the more it'll understand your unique style. But for me, I'd probably get rid of that. We have some content, we have some blocks, and there's more you can do. If you struggle, which again, a lot of people struggle when you are coming up to, how do I film this thing, right? And these are the things that help you grow on YouTube, that help you grow as a creator as well, because when your videos are better and when you have ideas that, we came up with a target, right? We found the audience is most engaged with our content. Now, what we're doing is we're making scripts that are based on those ideas. And these are the things that help you get more views. So we're going to click on shot list because I really love this feature. if you don't know how to film, or you're like, I get blocked when it comes to like coming up with unique shots, TubeSpanner's got your back. And I really think this is one of those cool things that for me as a user was like, whoa, that's crazy. And they're only improving it, right? So as this is loading, it gives you the ideas. And so let's see, we have our shot list. Here we go. So we have our opening hook. It says what kind of shot it is. It is a wide shot. Camera angles front view. Host standing in front of channel background, welcoming the viewers enthusiastically. It says voiceover. Close up. Medium. It gives you shot descriptions. It gives you a little bit more info. So if you kind of struggle with how do I visualize this? How do I show this? This is how you can do it, right? Analytics research, show close up, over the shoulder. It gives you a lot of different options. And I know they're working on making this better. I think that is one of the things that excites me is look at how many shots it gives you, right? You can print this, you can export it depending what you need. You can go back to the editor, of course. It tells you about how long things should be. So all of a sudden, you know, let's go through this journey. We started with the ideation station, as I keep calling it, because I love me a good rhyme. We got our idea. We asked it to generate a script. We have a script that we can edit and fully go into it. We can go into, you know, if I'm a fast recorder, it'll tell me about how long it'll take. If I'm average, it'll tell me. If I'm slow, which I tend to be, it'll tell me how long that takes too. So again, we've gone through a lot. And keep in mind, this is just one thing in the script tool. We can export it. We can add a section. So maybe I want to talk about something else. That lets me do. I can talk about bullet points. So again, if I need a call to action, if I need all these different parts of the script, it has tools for it. So I really like that. Now, obviously, I'm going to save what I do have. As you can see, save successfully. And we're going to go back to the extension because that's just one tool of TubeSpanner. And again, we keep doing it. I'm a few minutes late, but I write my scripts. It helps me from babbling, and I can upload the scripts, and it saves time cleaning up the auto captions. Absolutely, this is a great piece of advice here from Sarah. I have done this many a times. Another cool thing you can do is if you have your script, here's what you can do. If you know the total runtime, you can use the script, or you can download YouTube's transcript once you upload it there. Download that SRT file, and if you are comfortable, the keyword is if you're comfortable, here's how you can make a YouTube script go farther and longer. You can download that transcript, upload it to a service like ChatGPT, or use TubeSpanner as a note-taking for this, and you can get usable chapters. And what this does for you is helps you show up not only on YouTube, but in AI searches and Google searches, because it's using your chapters to recommend this thing. So when it comes down to it, these are lots of different ways that you can use one feature and go further. Shout out to Ike, whose birthday it is today. Happy birthday, Ike, if you're watching this in the future. Now you know. But one thing I want to go back to is I really want to focus on this, which is our Discovery Optimizer. It is these different tools, right? Because here's the thing, and we're full screen for it. Most people, they really struggle with knowing, should I make a video for discovery? How does this going to do in suggestion browse? And how is this going to do in search, right? YouTube is a search engine, but they care about this, you know, they care about these things. So I want to see how this could do in, you know, suggested in browse. So I'm going to hit analyze on the Discovery Optimizer. Now, it is giving me a disclaimer, and I can't stress this one enough. YouTube lets you use up to 100 characters for your title, but somewhere between 60 and 70 characters, about 10 to 12 words, usually shows up in full on most devices, right? So what does that mean? That means, and if you did not know this, now you know, YouTube shortens your title across device types. So it is super important that when you're coming up with a YouTube title, you're aware of how it looks. Too long of a title, and maybe some of the most important parts are cut off. So when you're structuring a title, keep in mind you want to front load the value to a user, because that's how YouTube is thinking about it. And what do I mean by that? If we're making a video on 10 tips for YouTube channel growth, maybe that's the focus. Now, on this specific title, right? It's going to tell you it's 10 tips to skyrocket your YouTube channel growth. This title, word-wise, is excellent. It's at 8 words. The compelling element is above average, and the clarity and readability is outstanding. It gives suggestions, because look, it's very important to get these things right. So if we read the suggestion, 10 insider tips to explode your YouTube success today, that's just giving a more urgency thing. We could also click here, tips you need to know, boost your YouTube channel, 10 essential tips you need to know. I don't like the boost phrasing, so maybe that's something to do. And since I see the TubeSpanner team is in here, maybe there should be a way that we can remove words we don't like in titles. Because for me, I'm never really going to use the expression boost, right? Or I'm not going to say game changer, things like that. Just food for thought. 10 strategies for students to grow their YouTube following. So maybe I want to go even more targeted, right? Because when I was a student, this is a kind of video I would love to see, right? I like this because it gives me a different point of view. And maybe if I wanted to help out some students, that's something I could do because I needed the help. Skyrocket your channel, 10 tips in 10 words. Now this is interesting, but might be a little more challenging. And also it doesn't have YouTube in it. So I think out of these, I kind of like 10 insider tips to explode your YouTube success today. 10 insider YouTube tips, maybe I'd say, or 10 YouTube insider tips to explode your YouTube success today. That way it's a little repetitive, but to quote YouTube themselves. So I'm going to do 10 insider YouTube tips. And instead of explode, I'm going to say grow. And see what I'm doing? Your YouTube, instead of success today, even though I got that suggestion from TubeSpanner, I love that I can still tweak it. I'm not locked in to that title. And this one's actually pretty good for the SEO standpoint too. So let's analyze again. While I'm reanalyzing, I want to go ahead and go full screen. I can come up with titles, but my struggle is that they are very simple. How to do X stitch or how to do Y technique. Look, I hear you, and that's why I like tools like TubeSpanner, like YouTube's own tools, right? Use what works for you. Obviously, TubeSpanner hopes you use TubeSpanner. But the thing is that those kind of videos, those kind of tools, they matter because they can help you go a little bit deeper. And sometimes, you can find it in different ways. Ooh, Pearl says they're going to analyze the title in 1 second. That's what we want to see. We want you to follow along. We want you involved. Love to see it, love to hear it, right? So this one's 9 words. It's compelling elements above average. Suggestions, maybe a specific outcome. Gain 1,000 subscribers. That's a lot more compelling, especially if we're targeting beginners, right? It gives you lexitronics. It's telling you common words. These are words commonly found in everyday language. Your title appears to be missing several types. So 10, maybe insider tips, 10 insider YouTube tips to grow your channel, your YouTube today. Maybe instead of today, we could say fast, 10 insider YouTube tips to grow on, instead of your YouTube, maybe it's grow on 10 insider YouTube tips to grow on YouTube fast. And maybe I get rid of insider 10 YouTube tips to grow your YouTube channel. So we put your YouTube channel fast. And again, I love that we can tweak. I love that we're playing with this. And that's really what's going to make all the difference. Now, here's the thing. This could be a normal YouTube video. This could also be a YouTube short, right? Like there's lots of ways we can play around with this. Now, even though, this score, one thing I want to mention is you want to have ideally all green, but even if you hit 100 out of 100, this is just following and making sure, 1, that there's an audience interest, 2, that you're following YouTube's best practice, and it's still up to the title, the thumbnail that we come up with together to do that heavy lifting. A lot of times what I'll see, and people say this about YouTube's own tools, is I followed it, but I'm not growing. But then if we go deeper, right, they might be getting impressions. They might just not have nailed the other parts. And that's why it's important. So this one has a little more emotional words, some power words. Good to see. Title length is about 50 characters and 9 words. So, trying to keep that. Title sentiment is positive. The compelling element, uses a numbered list, 10 YouTube, which suggests a concise and organized presentation. The use of grow your channel fast adds urgency. So gives us a little bit more of why it is. Top list, the title suggests a list format by indicating 10 tips, which categorizes it as a top list type. It implies that the video will provide a structured enumeration of advice or strategies typical of topless videos. Very spot on what I was doing. And if we actually go to the script, that's even better. I wonder, and this is something I'm thinking about, is when we sit here and no worries, Pilati with Jen. Welcome, another member of mine. Happy to see you here at TubeSpanner. One thing this can go for TubeSpanner is I wonder if we do generate a script like I've done for this. I almost wonder if we can plug in the script I just generated to help with some of the suggestions that this is giving for title, because then it just goes full circle. Again, I like a tool where they're sitting here listening. I thought I had a TubeSpanner account, but it turns out I don't. I'm registering another tab as I listen. Welcome, Sarah. Happy to have you here. And look, we're just here to have some fun, help you see what it can do. Now, once we have our title, which I think this is pretty good for now, we can go in a home run, right? And it's going to find potential opportunities. So, how to grow on YouTube fast. It's seeing different ways. This is above its average views. It gives you different ways and shows you how these are. Maybe this is something we'd want to create a variation of, right? How to grow your YouTube channel fast. And instead of 2025, maybe I want to do 2026, right? So maybe as it's doing this is our discovery optimizer. It's taking a look. Title suggestions powered by it. Turbocharge your YouTube channel growth in 2026. Accelerate your YouTube channel growth. Mastering YouTube growth for 2025. This one is actually kind of interesting. And if I click out, maybe instead of 2025, we make it a little bit mastering YouTube channel growth instead of for. That's what I do. I'm going to reanalyze because we got this from here. We're getting a different way. Pearl says they got a 74%. Congratulations. There's still some room to grow, but 74 is a good score. Look more at the bottoms, which is what I say to do of the score here. So title length on this one is only 5 words. It could be improved. Compelling needs a little more help, but clarity and readability, right? So instead of mastering YouTube, maybe it is quickly master YouTube growth. Instead of maybe for 2026, do this now, right? This might be a little more compelling. It can help a lot. And I will say this replay will be available after this stream, so you can follow along again. This one's a little bit better, 71%. It's got better words, but I'm struggling when it comes to the compelling element. So it's saying, right, join the movement with one simple click. The use of Ignite, acts fast, evoke excitement and urgency. So I love that it can give us more. So once I'm ready to go ahead and make this video, the next thing that I can do is I have it. I can pop this over here. I can take a look at it. I can save the draft idea here by clicking this. So I want to save this idea as a draft. We can see it here. It says project saved successfully. So now I have the idea for later if I really want to. And maybe as I'm doing that, what I can do, today is the 22nd. It's our TubeSpanner Tuesdays. I can open the planner tool, schedule a post. I could write something. I could cancel scheduling because I didn't actually write something. But let's say I want to talk about, hey, when it comes to YouTube, what do you want to know about its growth? And then I could add a video link, right? So I could put one of my recent videos that it pulls up for me with a thumbnail, which is really cool. I can pull this. I just did a live stream on channel reviews, and I want to know how I can better help you. So already we are doing all these different things, right? We're showing so many different tools. And what I like about this is I love how TubeSpanner made it so simple for me to put in video links. I don't have to go to 5 different social media platforms to do this. You can connect your social media if you want by clicking here, which will open this in a new tab. Now, granted, I have already done this for prosperity's sake, but you can select your time zone. Another thing I would tell TubeSpanner is I think we should probably, maybe they could focus a little bit more on going to your local time, because like being in the US, I'm kind of looking around here for it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be over here. I guess we could do it in UTC, but yeah, this is something I see Pacific time. Yeah, I would definitely maybe make this a little bit more streamlined, but it's not terrible. I just need to find what I'm looking for. He's definitely seen more Europe. I think you get the point. And then I can schedule the post if I want to. So just some more food for thought. Surely everyone looks for I definitely appreciate the humor. Surely everyone. Pilates with Jens has changed location, absolutely. But I love the little bit of humor. I love the ability to, understand the needs of creators. So appreciate you there all the same there, TubeSpanner. Now, this is not just all about TubeSpanner. It is also about you, right? So what are your questions when it comes to YouTube? I want to hear them. I want to know because I want to see what we can do to help you best understand it, right? Because ultimately, when it comes to your YouTube growth, you are going to have questions. You can always ask a question and we can bring it up. LOL, I'm spoiled being ET never. Though when I did stuff in Newfoundland time, I wanted to rip out my hair, says Sarah Dawn's designs. More than fair. I definitely get it. I think auto picking based on region would make the most sense here, but I totally hear you out on that. Now, another thing I wanted to show while I'm waiting for some questions to come in is you may notice, let me bring over, let's make sure I actually share my screen. That can help a lot. Variations. Use spin tags by writing. You can actually have some variations when it comes to scheduling this, some food for thought. And again, these are just some of the tools, right? We go to the home area, there are more popular tools. You can post to social media. You can have a social bio page. You can create a YouTube thumbnail, right? And these are all tools. So once you get that browser extension, be sure to find what you're using, right? And if you have more questions, there's the entire toolbox of all the stuff you get within TubeSpanner. So again, this is really cool to help you understand what you get. So like if you want to save descriptions, multiple, YouTube only gives you one. Maybe you want more than one. Maybe you have multiple series, right? Like for me, I'll tell you this, that is actually one of my favorite tools. When it comes to YouTube, you can have multiple different video types. Me personally, I have YouTube normal videos, YouTube live streams. Some people have podcasts and some people have shorts. With tools like TubeSpanner, you can have multiple video descriptions saved. So when you are going to those different kinds of content, you can easily insert a different description, which is a lot more than the standard one that YouTube gives you. That's just an easy added value when you're using tools like TubeSpanner. And again, you could just reuse them from YouTube. However, what I would say there is it's always good to have those saved ones because sometimes when you're on the go or you forget, having something like TubeSpanner that has your back can really help, especially if you're using it the way I like to. So just some food for thought. So that is some of our tools. Would love to see if we have any questions. Me gonna go now. This is a good call out from TubeSpanner. They do have a Discord group. They're helping everyone get growing and going. So big fan of a community area. So I see from Pearl, I got some stuff set up and the stream is perfect timing for me to learn. Got a video almost done beside, sorry, I'm having some issues with my StreamYard. Got a video almost done. Besides on end screen, I like doing end cards. No, end screens and end cards are huge. One thing that people don't understand, and there's a huge freak out recently. People are worried about end cards because YouTube allowed a way to hide end cards on end screens on YouTube videos. Well, keep in mind, they're adding more TV shows and such. A lot of companies are starting to do that. And their credit sequences were starting to get hidden by end cards. So I'm sure YouTube did that because it's only on individual videos so that those companies and those credits could be fairly seen. So anytime YouTube does something like that, I tend to think it's more for, those views. From Geology Dude, 60% of my viewers use VPN to bypass foreign government internet blockages, but they don't want to like, comment, or subscribe because of this. So I'm translating towards English speakers now. Very cool. And are you using YouTube auto dubbing or are you using another service? I'm always curious on what people are using these days. From Sarah Dawn Designs. Question from a complete newcomer. Is there a way to schedule first a comment/pinned comment with a video? So this is a little challenging because the way that YouTube system works is unless the video is unlisted, right? You're not allowed to have comments on scheduled videos. So that could be a cool TubeSpanner feature where basically you have an unlisted video, you allow, or maybe even you just have it on the YouTube scheduled where you can schedule a pinned comment to go live on your behalf, because that could be very useful. So there is a way currently to do this, but it's actually more of a limitation on YouTube's system than TubeSpanner, but that's a cool idea. Hopefully that helps. I see a link to the TubeSpanner Discord. I use Google Translate to do all the titles, description, closed captions in 100 languages. So I would definitely say if you have access to auto dubbing, Geology Dude, again, it's a rolling beta. Gotta love YouTube for that. But if you do have access, I'd be so curious to see how that goes for you. And also, you can see in your YouTube analytics how to sort by different languages. Again, we're getting so much from YouTube. I'm very grateful for the 30 new features, but there's still just a few more things that I'm looking for. And that's why tools like TubeSpanner are amazing. Sarah says, and I hope it's okay I say Sarah, that's literally your name. Oh, okay. I was thinking of IG and how comments work there too. Yeah, I feel like YouTube has grown so much, but there's some like minor things like that they could change. It would literally just make quality of life a little better. Adding a pinned comment to pre-published videos sucks, especially when someone beats you and goes first and you're like, I would have been if I could have scheduled my own comment. If that makes sense. So question, this is more of a setup thing. Do you think that it'd be smart to turn a stream VOD into a smaller video for a different channel? If this isn't the right place, I'll put it on the shelf. I mean, I would keep your stream VODs up if it still makes sense for your channel. And like YouTube is letting you do highlights of your streams for people who couldn't attend. So I think that YouTube is trying to keep your streams on one place. What I would say is that if you want to clip it so it's more digestible for your audience, or even find the best moments and turn those into shorts, that's a great strategy, and it could bring people to the long form. That's something that I do on my personal channel. It's something I recommend to a lot of the people I work with. So I don't think it's a bad idea. This is a really good, question. So what I would tell you is keep the live stream VOD there, but maybe if there's a lot of relevant information, a couple months down the line, that's content, or if you make it shorts, that's reusable right away. So really up to you on how you want to clip there, Pearl, but I don't think it's a bad idea. It's a really smart question. Thanks. Auto dubbing, I dislike it. It's not accurate and has a limited number of languages. More than fair, Geology Dude. It was just a question because I actually don't know too many people using auto dubbing. I've actually been thinking about dubbing my own content into not botched English for my UK viewers. There are some people that use like AI. Not that I do this, but I've seen it where they'll use AI to make them sound more Australian or more British. So in theory, I guess I could auto dub myself into the Queen's English, but I speak American English, so apologies if things get lost there in translation. Also, am I the only one who sees Geology Dude and I want to reach for a Pokeball? Geo Dude is definitely something I've thought of once or twice with Geology Dude's name. No worry, Sarah or Sarah Dawn does. Okay, Sarah, I never know. So I'm going to go by, again, it's in your name, but some people are like, I don't know, what do you want? Or some people's like, don't call me that. I'm like, but it's in your channel name. So okay, thank you for letting me know. I do appreciate that. Pokeball Go, says Pearl, fair enough. But even like Pokemon, right? Like we're talking about Pokeballs, we're talking about these different things. Those are things you could research in TubeSpanner and help you do different things. And one thing I think is interesting when it comes to doing research or YouTube in general is that I would say that you should always consider that YouTube is important for not only search, but browse and suggested. So like even though Pokeballs may not make sense for Geology Dude right away, you could technically, if you wanted to talk about it and get people into geographies, use a broad topic like Pokemon and use it for here are the different like the geologies in the Pokemon universe. So it gets people interested from something they know, and you can go deeper. Now, granted, you don't want to become a Pokemon YouTuber in that, but if you wanted to do a collab where it's like, hey, if you have fascination with Pokemon and geology, we did a great collab. You can use the YouTube's new collaboration feature, and that gives you something a little bit deeper. So, just some food for thoughts. Could we possibly do a segment on TubeSpanner Tuesday about creating your perfect avatar? Plies with Jen, you got it. I think that's actually a great topic, and that should be our next live stream. If you guys agree, let us know in the chat, but Plies with Jen, hard agree there. My perfect avatar is blue. You know, they're on the planet that they are based on. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? If you do, let me know in the comments. But hello, Create with Becca. Oh, we have more people coming in. Auto dubbing is first inaccurate like closed captions, and then it's inaccurate by transcribing. Good to know. I have some streams where I do art and gaming, so I was thinking of doing this is if you want art only, and this is if you want gaming only, you know? I wouldn't recommend putting gaming and art on the same channel unless they're hyper relevant to one another, because then you're building two separate audiences, and what I usually tell people is, I often call it like this, and this is no like shade to anyone, but gas stations technically have sushi, but I'm not really there for the sushi, and I usually question the sushi. So what I mean by that is if I go to a gas station, there's certain things I expect. Sushi is not what I expect, nor will I feel safe ordering. Similarly, your content should have a specific purpose. I would say if you want to do gaming content, consider a new channel, and then use the collaboration feature for those who are interested possibly in both. That would be my best advice, because if you're doing a gaming stream and maybe you do a little bit of art in the end, that's where I'd do it. And now, again, we have new tools for it. I would love to be fluent enough to dub myself, says Sarah. Myself, but I'm not. StreamYard, what are you doing on me? Ooh. I would love to be fluent enough to dub myself, but I'm not fluent enough yet. I have goals. Saya setuju. Saya belajar bahasa Indonesia. Tapi ini sulit. I just said I've been learning Indonesian. It's difficult. I hear you on the struggle there, Sarah. Ooh, this is a good question from TubeSpanner. Has anyone tried our new downloadable animated achievement yet? I have not, but that is something that we all should definitely do, and you should do now. So if you're watching, go ahead and download that. And if you haven't downloaded TubeSpanner, we go live every TubeSpanner Tuesday at 10 a.m. PT. Hope to see you in the next one. We're going to be talking about audience avatars thanks to Jen. I'm Andrew Can, TubeSpanner. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope you all have a great day.